Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the June meeting of the Lextran Board of Directors. My name is Fred Combs. Leading the meeting this morning will be our Vice Chair, Ms. Jamie Rogers.
All right, thank you. So first up on the agenda, we're going to do a call to order. So Harding Dow, myself, I am present. Mr. Schoninger.
Here.
George Ward. Lady Borges Gonzalez.
I'm present.
Jessica Berry.
Present.
Dr. Capo. And Judge Thurston.
Present.
Thank you. All right, now do we have any public comment for items on the agenda? Seeing no public comment, we'll move to the approval of minutes. Do I have anyone that would make a motion to approve the minutes?
I have a question. I thought Joey David, when the city was here under others present. I could be wrong about that. He's not here today, so I'll just, I'm happy to make a motion to adopt the minutes, but I think he was here.
Okay.
So moved.
So a motion with the amendment to add Joey David as present.
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Berry. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the minutes have passed. We do have a request to move our resolution up, so we are now going to move to our first resolution on the agenda.
All right, thank you. Resolution 2024-19 is to award a contract for Microsoft Office 365. Microsoft Office 365 is part of the back-end systems that we use for our emails, the Office suite, so Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and those technologies. We did RFP 2024-06 in April. We received proposals on May the 17th. We did a staff evaluation and received responsive proposals from 6 qualified proposers. The proposal from Next Century Technologies received the highest score and is recommended for the award. The term of the contract is 5 years with 2 options for 1 year each, for a total of 7 possible years. The first year cost is $17,070, which is under the threshold, the spending authority threshold that I have. However, since the contract is so long, that would get into board approval territory. So that is why it is presented to you this morning. We do have a series of licenses that is included in this RFP. Everything from Exchange Online, you can read the long list. There's also other products available which help us with our security, and that can be added on an as-needed basis. So if there are any other questions on this proposal, I'm happy to address those now.
Any questions? This is a very niche question, but the Cyber Watch, is that something you guys, the $18,000 per year, decided to go with?
We've not done that yet. This is an offering that Next Century has. If we deem that we do need it, we will move forward with it. It's not included in the $17,000.
In fact, yeah, because I see it's much larger than our
No, it's
$17,000
not
per
included in
year,
that.
but just other offerings. Is this the current vendor?
Yes, this is the incumbent vendor.
Any other questions? If not, a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Schoninger. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Judge Thurston. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we have Resolution 2024-19 has passed. With that, we're going to move. There's no other items, no other resolution, so we're going to move back to our regular agenda. I do not have a report from Mr. Dow today, so now we're going to move to our Lextran monthly performance report.
So as Emily gets set up, a couple of announcements. We do have paratransit listening sessions scheduled coming up in July. So that will be, there's 2 on July 8th, 1 on July 10th, and 1 on July the 11th. I think that information is now, if it's not posted on the website, it will be soon. We've also conducted a safety audit with TransDev. That audit went really well and helps us make sure that we have everything that we need from the safety perspective. Also, one point that we've talked about is hiring and retention. We've had a wonderful idea from our HR team to do on-site interviews, and those have gone, I think, beyond expectations.
Yes.
We had 14 Interviews 3 weeks ago, 19 interviews last week, and 14 interviews yesterday. So kudos to the team for putting those together and all those who have worked to make that a success.
And when you say on-site, do you mean on-site here or
Yep.
at a recruitment fair?
Here, open door, you don't have to schedule a time, you can just walk in and get an interview. And that's been really tremendously successful. So looking forward to one of the biggest classes that we've ever coming up in a couple of weeks.
And can I ask about the listening sessions? Are those open to the public, and are we
Yes.
advertising those in any way?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are 4 listening sessions scheduled. They are being hosted specifically at locations where seniors and people with disabilities either reside or locations that they may use frequently, like the senior center. We decided to go back to the senior center specifically because it was the most successful session that we held in January. So those are open to the public, and we appreciate Meadowthorpe Landing, Connie Griffith, and Bluegrass Council of the Blind for opening their spaces as well, which may not necessarily always be public spaces to the community. So we'll be hosting those there. We get good engagement from residents, and they don't have to go anywhere. But we also, it gives us the opportunity to say that anyone who may want to engage is welcome there. And just a side note, we will have a sign language interpreter available at the senior center for this session. There was a request for one, so just want to let folks know that that will be available if they need it.
You may be getting to this later. Are all the sessions in English?
Interpreters are available upon request. So if someone would like to have an interpreter, we'll schedule a live interpreter to be there. The information is available in English, Spanish, and Mandarin.
But they have to know, like,
They have to know that they're coming before and let us know. Yeah, there is not an interpreter. This is considered a simultaneous interpreter situation. So what happens in those cases is that 2 interpreters must be available. They interpret in real time. So if we had one here, they would be interpreting as I'm talking. It's a really exhausting process. So you have to schedule 2. They have to be able to switch off. And so it's a little more cost prohibitive in that way than maybe using a phone interpreter or something like that in a one-on-one conversation. So we do need to schedule those ahead of time because of just timing, travel, cost, all of those kinds of things. But they can be, I believe we have 175 languages available, so we can have additional interpreters available as we need to.
And we put that on the flyer, that they have to request it, because based on Title VI, we're supposed to have interpretation right there. So if somebody comes in that speaks Spanish, for example, we have to have somebody available to translate for them.
Okay, I don't believe it's on the flyer, but we can add that.
Is this the flyer?
Okay.
That's just one of them, that's not all of them.
Okay, I would say if you need somebody who, if you're there and I'm not there, and you have somebody who speaks Spanish, I'll be willing to get there and support.
Okay.
But based on Title VI, we have to have that on site. We cannot just say, you have to, if you're here and we're not providing the services.
And we do have someone who speaks Spanish.
I speak Spanish. And I am attending all of them, so yes, I do not speak
You will be
Mandarin.
doing it, so it will be hard for you to,
And-
support and at the same time translate.
Yes, there are other folks available who can facilitate as well if someone who comes who speaks
Perfect.
Spanish.
And how do we
Perfect.
distribute
Thank
the
you.
flyers? How and where? I know that's kind of old school. Or do we do it virtually? I mean, electronically?
Both. So they're being provided to Wheels to be able to have in vehicles upon request, those sorts of things. They've been shared on social media. They're given to council. They're given to the facilities to post in the inside the facilities where they're happening. They've been shared with the Senior Services Commission, Access Lexington Commission. They were in the Senior Center newsletter as well. We've requested that they be placed in the council newsletters as well. So we try to get them sort of like a broad stroke across the board.
Okay. And can we request that information as a nonprofit, just because I know we have some members who utilize
Yeah,
services?
absolutely.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Yeah. And changing gears completely, we'll go for the performance report. So we're going to start with our mission. We serve people and our community with mobility solutions. May was very busy. We completed our triennial review with the FTA, the 1st through the 3rd. Fred presented our fiscal year 2025 proposed budget to City Council on May 14th, and that went very well. We held the Safety Awards banquet, and these are some of the photos from that banquet on May 19th, and so we were able to recognize staff for safe practices over the last year, share a meal together. We did begin construction on the upgraded CNG fueling station infrastructure in May. We anticipate that to continue throughout the summer, ending in early August. It is ongoing and going well. And beginning in May, we had officially began our training sessions for supervisors and managers with New Horizons, and we have had continued scheduled trainings available for different levels of staff this month as well. So that's an ongoing project, but we kicked that off in May. So just a few pieces of interesting information. We have seen a 9% increase in ridership over fiscal year 2023 on both fixed route and on paratransit. During May, we released 5 new vans into service. So one of those was to help on the fixed route side, and then 4 of those went to paratransit. We were able to conduct 7 travel trainings, and so those are the individual on-board trainings that we provide to folks in May, and we received those from 5 separate referral sources, including a self-referral. On the 30th, we kicked off the Student Success Program. So that is a program that we have in coordination with Lexington Public Library. Students can show their Student Success Card. Those are distributed by the library every time they ride, and they ride for free all summer. And then we just wanted to congratulate John James, George Higgins, and Miguel Vivanco for being selected the top performers for May. So moving on to fixed route ridership, you can see there's a strong ebb and flow that happens throughout the year on ridership. We continued with that trend. We are still ahead on ridership for fixed route for the year. So even though we're following the sort of typical trajectory, we are still ahead of both the previous year and the average ridership. For the paratransit ridership side, there was an 8% increase compared to May of last year. So it is still tracking a bit under the average from 2015 to 2023, but there is an increase, and if you can see over last year, we are continuing to trend better as far as ridership is concerned for paratransit. So here are some of those numbers that support. You'll note that in May we had Memorial Day, so there is some it's not going to come out as a holiday ridership included. And a reminder that on Memorial Day, that is a Sunday service level that's offered to the public. As far as safety goes, there were 4 preventable accidents for fixed route and 1 on paratransit. And there is a note that there was a change on the OSHA reportable injury report from April because it was not work related. So there is an adjustment on the injury frequency rate. For maintenance, we went 12,417 miles between road calls and continuing the streak of 100% on the preventative maintenance inspections. Can I answer any questions for anyone?
I have a question on the Student Success Program. I know that's something that Lextran has done for a very long time. Mm-hmm. What's the history of that, and is the main intent of that, or like explain the main goals of that program and why we do that program?
So the goal of that program is to offer flexibility for students. Say students, young people is probably a better term. You are anticipated that you're school age, so 12th grade or younger, to offer them flexibility and access to services during the summer. So the library, I guess they call it the summer slide, can happen for a lot of students. So historically, it was an intent to be able to ensure that students would have some access to services that the library offers during the summer. It's sort of expanded from there. So there's the aspect of the cultural pass, working with LexArts this summer, but essentially just to offer young people flexibility, get them out of their houses, out of their neighborhoods, engaged in the community in an easy and efficient way.
And I'll just add from a court-involved standpoint, I have a lot of kiddos who take advantage of that, and it's just amazing. So it's very appreciated out in the community.
Any other questions? I will turn it over to Nikki.
Good morning. We are looking at financials for the month of May, which is the 11th month of the fiscal year. It's hard to believe we've already gone through almost the whole fiscal year already. Property taxes, we are right at about 4% over where we were last year. We budgeted 3.5%, so we're happy that we've exceeded that. We're about 1.1 million over budget. Passenger revenue continues to increase. We're about 90,000 over where we were last year. As Emily mentioned, anytime ridership increases, we're very, very happy with that. Federal funding, again, and state funding is just timing. Things are moving slower this year than usual, but there's no problem getting those funding. Advertising revenue, that's our 260,000 that were promised according to the contract. We have received about 40,000 in the month of June. When we close out the year, anything over our minimum we'll get money for, so it's right at about 40,000. Wages and fringe are still under budget. As Fred mentioned, we have had a lot of success lately. Hopefully we're going to have more employees to be able to start when we start back with our UK service and everything in August. We are still under budget at this point for professional services. You will see more expenses come through in the month of June for that. We have some larger invoices that we've mentioned for transmissions and engines, things like that. They'll be closed out before the end of the fiscal year. Materials and supplies, we're actually a little bit over budget, but that is actually a good point to be where we've seen the maintenance parts. Most of that is for parts, and we had seen the cost increases for those hit us pretty hard at the beginning of the fiscal year, so I think we're at a very good point with that. Diesel fuel, we're under budget. Thankfully, we're using less diesel and more CNG. If you'll notice at the bottom, the monthly average diesel cost is $2.51. The year-to-date average from July through May is $2.82. This time last year, that total was $3.40. So there's quite a bit of difference from last year. And our CNG diesel gallon equivalent continues to decrease, and we were at $1.08 for the month of May. So I like seeing more CNG and less diesel. So. All of our utilities, all of that is running about normal where we should be. Paratransit is just a little bit over budget. As you know, it's based on ridership. It's also based on fuel assessments and some vehicle repairs that we've taken care of. We have some travel and training. We have some of that going, was going on in the month of May and June. So we should be under budget in that area, but not by much. And our media advertising is right on track. So I'm very pleased at this point in the fiscal year with our budget, but I'll be glad to answer any questions. Okay, we'll move on to
I have one question. I know
okay.
that I asked this last time too. So if that 7 million in federal funds doesn't come in until next fiscal year, remind me what we do.
It will just be over budget for next fiscal year. It will show the revenue in, part of that will be accounts receivable that we'll take care of in June, that will get posted to this fiscal year, and then some of it will be posted to next fiscal year.
So do we track this year as a loss, as a $4 million loss?
No, it's just time. It's just timing.
timing.
Yeah. No, it won't be a loss. It'll just, if this year is under, next year will be over. Okay, with our balance sheet, we are very close to where we were this time last year with the balance sheet. Operating cash is in a good place. We do have work in process. There's the $10 million that we need to draw down. Part of that is for buses that we're in the process of drawing down. And also where we've begun the CNG facility, which we will not draw down until that project is complete. So that will roll over into the next fiscal year. But everything is at a very good point at this time of the year. Any more questions?
I would add that last month we talked about the purchase of paratransit vehicles. There was a resolution with the state funds. We were able to find those.
Yes.
And we have those on order, so
Yes.
that went through.
Yes, we ordered 3 of those. So. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we close out performance report, I have one question related. I was going to ask this. So we did listening sessions for paratransit about 6 months ago. Are we going to start doing it now every 6 months, or is there a reason we're doing it again?
More frequently, whether it's once a quarter where we end up, or twice a year, once a year. I mean, we're going to continue this. The cadence with which we do it, I don't know that we've settled on, but is that a fair way to say it?
I think that's a fair way to say it, yeah. We found that it was a very effective way for folks to communicate with us and for them to feel heard and recognized. And so we thought it was important to schedule another one. We don't want to do it so frequently that there's no engagement. So continuing to keep an open conversation and see how this one goes, and then decide sort of maybe what pace might be appropriate at that point.
And then prior to us doing the listening session over the winter, when was the last time we had done it? Prior?
January?
When was the last time we had done it prior to that?
I don't remember.
A while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But in general, so it sounds like you're going to do these more consistently. That's part of kind of rebuilding the brand and the image and
The trust.
of trust of paratransit. Okay. Thank you. That's all. So now that we're done with performance report, do we have a change order report?
We do. There are 2 change orders in your board packet. The first is for Crow, and Crow is our independent auditors. And this change came about due to change to the auditing standards. You might have to help me explain this if necessary. This is one of those changes that we have to do. And the adjustment here is an additional $1,000 for each of our audits over the next 3 years. This does not require board approval. This is just for your information. Any questions about that one? The second change order is for Shellcon. That's our contractor that works with the ramp program and bus stop enhancements. This change order is for shelter replacements, 1 new shelter placement, and then trash can placements. The additional contract value is $25,258. Again, that is within my spending authority, so this is a for information change order in our change order report. So any questions on that one?
Was this because there was more stops identified, or what was the increase of 25,000?
We continued, there was plenty of shelters that we need replacing, so this is another step towards getting our new shelters out in the community. It's just a continuation of the RAIN program.
Oh, okay. It's not, these 9 shelters are coming in more expensive, it's just more shelters.
More shelters, and we already have these as part of our previous order that we've had, so we already have these in stock. This is to get installation for those shelters.
Okay.
Any questions? That's all for our change orders.
All right. Is there anything for old business?
I don't believe so.
Anything for new business?
No, I don't believe so.
So on our proposed agenda items, we have a couple things coming up. Do you want to talk through those items?
So first is the nominating committee. So next month will be the month with which we vote on our chair and vice chair. Along with that, I think Jamie and Harding have been speaking about a strategic planning subcommittee of the board. I think we'll have more information on that and how that's going to work over the next month. Next, we have a presentation from Chris Avila. He's the director of Lextran area MPO. He's going to talk about the transportation planning process, how federal funds flow, and introduce the recently passed Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And, Lextran has a pretty big component in the next MTP. That'll sort of help that strategic planning process to understand what this board's responsibility is, role is, and how it fits into the larger transportation system. And last, we have a resolution for electric motors. That's a typical resolution for rebuilds of electric motors. So we do that every year.
Yes.
Okay. And that's all we have currently planned for the agenda.
And I know when you presented to council, one of their asks was to be included in the RFP for paratransit coming up. And I think one of the things was, well, let us present to the MPO and discuss with the MPO first before we do the RFP and tell you about the RFP.
That was the microtransit conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, not paratransit, microtransit.
So that conversation is going to happen, last I heard from Chris, would be in August. So we'll have the conversation about a microtransit with the Transportation Policy Committee. That's
Okay.
essentially the board of the MPO.
Okay.
Once we get their feedback on that, we will be ready to move forward with the study.
In his presentation, will he address any of like how microtransit fits into the MPO's plan?
A little bit. It's more broadly about transportation, so there'll be a little bit of microtransit in there.
Okay. Any other questions on future proposed agenda items? Do we have a need for a closed session?
We do not.
All right, with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.